This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to build your online presence.
Hi, I'm kchoi. Welcome back to my channel. Don't mind my mic just kind of weirdly hanging off of my sweater here. I am currently in Chicago in a hotel because I'm here for a quick work trip, which honestly is kind of fitting for this video where I'm going to be ranking corporate jargon and idioms. I'm talking about boiling the ocean, circling back, that kind of thing. I've been working in a corporate setting for like 9 years, so I have heard my fair share of corporate words, idioms, jargon. I also just love these tier ranking videos and wanted to add my own, submission to this format. I think about 2 months ago at this point, I asked people on Instagram to share what they think are the worst corporate idioms. So I've collected those. We've got almost 30, I think, and we are going to react to and rank those today. I know this video is so random, but I don't know. I just had this idea and I wanted to do it. So we'll see how this goes. Looking at my laptop here, we're gonna go over our 5 tiers. So at the bottom is you're fired. And this is for those corporate idioms or sayings that you just need to stop saying immediately because they just make me really uncomfortable for one reason or another. Then we've got PIP, which stands for Performance Improvement Plan. If you don't already see the pattern, these are like corporate related terms that I'm using for the ranks. So I'm going to put stuff into this tier that I also don't really like, but at least it doesn't feel like gross or problematic or anything like that. Next, we've got quiet quitting, which of course is all the rage nowadays. This one is just like the middle ground. It's not my favorite, but I also don't like have an averse reaction or feel the need to like aggressively roll my eyes when I hear this one. Then we got ready for promotion. This means that I actually don't really mind the saying, and I probably say it myself quite often as well. But I do think that the difference between quiet quitting and ready for promotion is going to be kind of hard for me to determine. And then finally at the top, we've got lifer, like when you're a lifer at a company, you're just there. You're there for the long run. And this is for those sayings that aren't really going anywhere, and I feel like they're pretty solid and are a good saying that actually are clear and straightforward, maybe. We'll see, because all of this is subjective and I'm like making this all up as I go along. So let's get started. The first one I have here, it says foot stomp. So the comment actually is, I hate foot stomp, just say emphasize. I've never actually heard anyone use this one before, foot stomp. I don't know, I mean, that one doesn't really bother me that much. I'm gonna put it at quiet quitting. It's not very offensive, and sure, maybe emphasize is better, but I guess foot stomp is like one less syllable. I don't know. Okay, next one is we should eat our own dog food, which immediately I'm gonna put into you're fired, because no one wants to be having that image like while they're at work of eating dog food, unless it's like home cooked dog food that you're making for your pup. But I also have not heard this one that much in like the company that I work at or in previous places I've worked. I guess this one just means like we need to like take our own medicine in a way, or like we need to like practice what we preach. Is that what that one's getting at? Either way, I already named 2 other ways that you could say this if I'm thinking about it correctly. So I think we don't need that one anymore. Next is that's our bread and butter. And I think I'm also gonna put that one in the quiet quitting category because again, it's not super offensive to me. I notice that there are quite a lot of like food references when it comes to corporate idioms. So there's bread and butter, there's meat and potatoes, there is the juice being worth the squeeze. Instead of bread and butter, I suppose you could say it's our specialty, it's our expertise, it's our best product or service. So there are some other ways that you could say this, but bread and butter really does get the point across. So maybe I should move it to ready for promotion, because again, I'm not super offended by that one. Next is the elephant in the room, which I think is fine. And also, I don't know that this one is super corporate. At least in my experience, I think it's more of just a general like idiom in the English language. I think in a corporate setting, you actually wouldn't normally address an elephant in the room, so maybe that's why it doesn't come up super often. Okay, next is PFA, but I literally have no idea what that one means, so I'm gonna look it up. PFA, corporate meaning. Passion for action. Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah. Passion for action is a concept that creates an environment where this is strived for in every aspect of your business. I don't like that one. It's not like offensive or anything. Maybe we'll put it into PIP because it doesn't offend me, but it does just kind of make me cringe. That would get me too if people said that. All right, next is if we could double click on that. And this person says that they hate this with all their soul. And I honestly use double click so often. I probably use it several times a week. I'm really conflicted because I use it a lot and I feel like it's a good way to describe, you know, what you're trying to say, of going deeper, like going another step further. But double click, just like, the reason idioms can be good is because they're like metaphorical, and so it helps you really clearly visualize what someone is trying to say. So actually, I'm gonna put double click into the lifer category because I actually like that saying. I use it a lot and I think it gets the point across. Next is CC me for viz, or visibility, I think. I'm gonna put that in you're fired just because the way that it's written right now is giving micromanaging energy, and we don't want that here. Next is circle back, which is another one that is used very, very often. I use this one like a little more sparingly, I think. I probably use follow up much more than circle back, and I do think follow up is a little bit better. I don't know, because it's like, why say circle back and have to make like that whole visual when follow-up suffices in this situation. We'll put it in quiet quitting because, you know, people are gonna use it. I get what they're saying. It doesn't like make me roll my eyes too much, other than just the fact that it is overused. Next, we've got there's a war on talent. This one's interesting because it's more of like a trend, like a business trend or market trend that's happening, but they've applied this like metaphor to it. I don't know the context of why this person doesn't like this saying, but maybe because like it feels a little dramatic to call it a war. We'll throw that into PIP. Okay, next one is open the kimono, and I actually have never heard of this saying before or heard anybody say it, but I'm glad because I would probably throw up, like the throw up emoji that's going on right here. It's an expression used in business meetings and communications where a company or team must share its internal workings or projects with a potential partner or buyer. Yeah, so that's definitely going in you're fired, because if it's about like being transparent and like opening the books and showing like what's behind the scenes, like open the kimono is just a really unnecessary visual for that. Honestly feels kind of racist and sexist and very unnecessary. So you're fired. We're gonna take a quick break from this ranking to talk about this video's sponsor, which is Squarespace. In case you don't already know, Squarespace, of course, is an all-in-one website building platform where you can build your online presence. You can choose from so many beautiful templates to build your blog, portfolio, online store, whatever it is that you need a site for. And because Squarespace is an all-in-one platform, there are tons of tools that you can use. There's social media integration, marketing analytics, scheduling for blog posts, and scheduling for appointments and classes. And they even have a feature called member areas where you can share exclusive content like posts and videos with your audience. And I think one of the best things about Squarespace is that it's so easy to use, and you know that your site is gonna look great no matter what. Squarespace is personally my go-to whenever I'm creating a website, whether it's my own website and blog or my website for the podcast that I started with a couple of my friends. So I definitely recommend it if you are also looking to build a site. On that note, if you wanna check out Squarespace, go to squarespace.com/kchoi to get a free trial. And when you're ready, you can use my code kchoi to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All of that info will be in the description box, so go check it out. And thanks so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Next is dive deeper, which is another way that you could say double click. I don't think I like this one as much as double click. I did not expect to be like praising the phrase double click in this video, but yeah, dive deeper is not too bad. I'm just gonna put that in the ready for promotion because I think the bread and butter is feeling a little lonely in that section. Next one is widen the aperture. That one is creative. I haven't really heard that one. So if I'm thinking of camera terms, which I am not like super well versed in, but if we're widening the aperture, it's like you're letting more light in, right? But if I heard someone say, let's widen the aperture, I would think that they're saying like, let's expand our like perspective, or even maybe let's elevate a bit. So this one is not doing it much for me just because I don't think it's super clear what you're trying to say. I'm gonna put it in the quiet quitting because I think it's like an interesting one, maybe just because I haven't really heard it before, so I'm not like sick of it or anything. All right, next is different ways to skin the cat, and I also really don't like that one. Very graphic. Also, how many ways are there to skin a cat? Because I think the point of this saying is like, oh, you could do things in so many different ways. But I mean, how many ways could there be to skin a cat? And why are we talking about skinning a cat? So next is punch list, which is something that I use often. It's to refer to like a list of items that, someone needs to make updates on. In the cases that I use it, it's for like a graphic designer, for instance. I mean, I guess other than punch list, you could say list of changes or list of updates, but I like punch list, and you can abbreviate it to PL to make it even quicker and more efficient. So that one's gonna go in the lifer category for me. Will be heads down. This person said, ew. I use this one sometimes, like I'll say I am having some heads down working time. I'm curious why this person has such like a strong reaction, a strong negative reaction to this one. But I'm gonna put this in the quiet quitting section. Doesn't really offend me, and I guess like you could replace it with like having focused working time or something like that. Next one is ducks in a row, and honestly, like, I think it's kind of a cute saying, like we're getting all of our ducks in a row, getting everything ready. I like that you can kind of visualize, like, do I have 3 ducks? Do I have 15 ducks? I don't even know the average number of ducklings that a duck would have. Oh, I also automatically thought of these as like baby ducks versus big ducks, adult ducks. But anyway, I'm gonna put ducks in a row in the ready for promotion because it's not something that I use super often. I don't think it's 100% necessary, but I think it's a cute saying, and is also one that is not like only used in a corporate space, in my opinion. Next, we've got let's not boil the ocean. And I think this one I'm gonna put into PIP because it feels really overused, but I do appreciate what it's trying to say of like, we can't do everything. We need to be able to prioritize. We can't solve for everything with this one initiative or project. So I do appreciate what it's trying to say. I do think we can find a different way to express that. It is a good saying, just really overused. Next up, we've got drinking from the fire hose. I really don't know where I want to put this one. This one also gets used quite a lot, but it is a great image. Like, for example, if you're onboarding at a company and you're just getting all this information thrown at you, like drinking from a fire hose is a great image for that. However, you honestly would probably break like your whole face if you were drinking from an actual fire hose. But that's the point of like metaphors, right? I think I'll put that in the quiet quitting because I don't use it too often, but I think it has its place and is useful at certain times. Next one, this person says, I hate 20,000 feet, which is about like elevating. I guess like even saying elevating feels like corporate jargony to me, but sometimes you get really in the weeds in something and then you need to take a step back. I'm gonna put it in PIP just because it is really overused. I also wonder if it's like more used in, for example, a consulting environment, just because consultants tend to travel a lot. And so you got the 20,000 feet, flights, all of that. But anyway, we're gonna throw it into PIP. Speaking of planes, we've got, we need to land the plane on XYZ. I'm also gonna put that into PIP. This PIP section is becoming stuff that is used a lot that I'm just really tired of. We've got the classic new normal. Now this one, like maybe it is registering as corporate for people because of COVID and all the changes that happened for like corporate jobs during the pandemic. So maybe that's why this like new normal saying is reading as corporate. I think I'll just put that in quiet quitting because like, again, to me, it's not like a super corporate saying. It's not like offensive to me in any way. It's just kind of there, so I'll leave it there. Pull back the curtain. So I think that is a much better way to say open the kimono. So just for that, pull back the curtain. We're gonna put it in ready for promotion just because it is showing that you don't need to reference opening or taking off someone's item of clothing to get your point across. We've got fleshed out or flushed out. So I think that means like detailing something out. I just made a connection that like you would normally call like a rough draft or an outline of something a skeleton or a wireframe. And then fleshed out is like you're adding the flesh onto that skeleton. Other people might have already made that connection, but I kind of just made that right now. But yeah, I don't really love this term. I would probably say more like build out or detail out. So I'm gonna put that into pip. I don't like the imagery that it brings of like flesh. Next we've got piggyback, which I honestly haven't heard too much lately, but it's definitely a very corporate term to me, because like if you're in a conference call and someone says something and another person says, just to piggyback off of that, like here's another point. I think I'm gonna put it in pip because it doesn't, like, I don't hate it, but it is definitely overplayed, and you could say to add on to that or in addition. Next up is please advise, and I actually use this a lot, but not so much in a corporate setting, but more like when I'm reaching out to customer support and I have some kind of issue. I'll let them know like, hi, like this issue is happening, like please advise on what I should do. So I use it a lot, and I'm just gonna put it in lifer because I personally use it a lot and not just in a corporate setting. And I'm not really sure like what else to use other than please advise. I don't know if I just got that like from my dad and that's his generation type of thing, but that's where it's gonna go. Next is postmortem, and I'm gonna also immediately put that into you're fired because like, yeah, like why are we using this kind of imagery in a corporate setting? I think instead of postmortem, you could say debrief, you could say like reflection, look back, like analysis. I don't know. I feel like there are many other ways that you can get the point across that you are looking at something after the fact or after the project is complete. Second to last one here, we've got minimum viable product. And I actually don't use this one too much. I think maybe because I don't work in like a tech company or tech setting. I think I'm gonna put that into the quiet quitting section just because I think it's very pervasive, like in a lot of tech companies especially. I can see how it can get really, really annoying to constantly hear like MVP, MVP. And I also can imagine that goalpost for what an MVP is might move a lot. So I can see how it can be frustrating, but I don't know like a good alternative, and I also don't encounter it that much. So I'm just gonna put it in that middle ground. And last one here is another plane metaphor. So more than food metaphors, we've got plane metaphors. Fly the plane while building it. I don't think I use this one a lot, but I definitely hear it a lot. And I've heard like build the car while we're driving it as well. Build the car while we're going down the highway. I guess for fly the plane, we're gonna put it in pip because it's another one that, you know, we just hear too much. I can't really think of like a good alternative that really gets the point across in such a visual way. So actually for that reason, I'm gonna move it to ready for promotion because I don't think it's going anywhere, because I think it is a really good way to express that you are working on something as you're learning new information and things are changing every day. I do think it's a great way to express that. So it's gonna go into that category. So there's my ranking of all the corporate jargon that you all submitted on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's at Christina Choi. So go follow me there. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my rankings, and please also add any other corporate jargon that just drives you crazy, because I honestly keep a list in my phone. Anytime someone says something funny on a call that is corporate idiom like, I will jot it down just because I think they're really interesting to keep track of. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video was a little bit different than what I usually post on this channel, but I hope you had fun. Let me know in the comments what other types of videos you'd like to see on this channel. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.